Hey there, this is Daryl Olson from the Jackson Fishing Team again, and I'm going to show you another fly that I'm going to be tying up for a little trip coming up at the end of this month. I know you might be able to see it right here, but we'll zoom right in on it. This will be a fun trip down to St. Cloud, Florida. We're going to try for a unique species down there. And hopefully I'll get some footage or video of us down there fishing for this this fish. But we'll go ahead and get tying. I'll describe the materials as I go along, and the materials will be in the description of the video. Well, this fly that we're going to tie is called the pink thing. It's out of Australia, is where it's normally used, I guess, but I suppose if you tied it bigger, you could use it for muskie or pike on this. But we're not going to tie this particular fly. We're going to tie it in a popper version, or actually a slider, and we'll talk about how to tie it using a double barrel from Flyman Fish Company, and we'll go ahead and get started and talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one. So since we're going to do it on a popper, I'm going to have a popper hook here. It's a 2/0 popper hook. You can see there's a bend right here. And I'm going to use, let me debarb it. I'm going to use some short truce or fluorescent yellow thread in 210 denier or 3/0. And we're going to go ahead and start our thread and cover our hook. And you might be able to see this hook bend a little bit easier. And I'm just going to give this a couple layers. It'll help when we finally put the popper on here, the foam head, to secure. The bend of that hook, though, is the purpose of that is to help us stabilize the head on there. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the head on. And normally, a lot of people on these double barrels, now this one I painted with a marker, pink, and I put some darker pink type dots on it. But are normally on this. So what we want to do is we want to figure out where the end of the popper goes. But I'm going to tie, because everything from this material here going forward, I don't want it to go there because this will be taking the head. But I'm going to tie a slider, and the slider is just turning it backwards so that the back end of it, and it'll kind of dive a little bit into the water and pop back up. And I might want to come forward a little bit. Somewhere right about there. We don't want to go past that mark. And to help you determine that, you can always take a marker put a mark on there like that to help you remember it. If you don't want to go in front of that with any materials. So with that there, I'm going to move this back. And we're going to use some white saddle hackles, and we're going to want to pick out, you know, 3 good ones that are pretty stiff. If you can see that one there, that's kind of got a curve in it. I'm not liking that one on there. And we've got this concave thing, and what we're going to do is we're going to line up our 3 saddle hackles with the tip. That one that's got kind of a broken middle in there, I'm going to put that in the middle. And we're going to go concave to concave. And I'm going to flip it over because I'm going to tie this one on this side first. And we want it to be roughly 2 hook lengths. And I'm not going to trim none of this off. It's going to help seat, keep that excess material is going to help keep it in its place so that it stays flat somehow. And then we're going to go ahead and trim off without cutting our thread, hopefully. And make sure our materials don't go beyond that brown mark. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip it on its side, and I'm going to pick 3 more nice ones. And again, I'm going to put them concave to concave, lining up the tips. And I'm going to make sure it lines up to the tips of the ones that I just put on there. And don't worry about that fluff. That's just going to add stuff to it. And then we're going to add some flash material. You know, just get some flash material. And if you can wet it down, it's a little bit more manageable. We're going to put a couple on this side, on the far side. And then the other half over here. And then we're going to just cut that so it's just slightly longer than that. Now the problem with saddle hackle, there could be a possibility it'll foul around the hook. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some deer hair to help prevent that by around the hackle. You're going to want to cut off a good bit, and try to clean out some of them. Grab them by the tips and pull out some of the short ones. And we want this to be about half the length of that tail. So I'm going to trim off this excess. And give it a couple loose wraps. And then I'm going to kind of take my fingers and try to cover that hook shank. And that'll help prevent that. And we'll trim off some of this. Then we're going to put some little pink flash on there. Not much, just a hint on the back. It's a lot of material in a short distance, and this is going to be about the same length as, or at least the bulk of it, the same length as trim that off. What we want to do is we're going to put some bars on the side. Looks like it's kind of barred, and what we'll use is some hackle, soft hackle. You only need like one on each side. And that's only going to be about half of that tail. We're not going to go all the way back with it. And we can trim off that. we'll do the same on the other side. I'm going to add a little super glue to it to help keep those stuff in, because it's a lot of materials. Alright, next we're going to do is we're going to add some cactus chenille, and I've got some here in pink, just for a spacer back there, so that when I put the slopping hackle on there, that it kind of holds the hackle up a little bit. Just tie that right on the top. We're not going to use a lot of this material. Maybe 2 turns or so, and when we're putting it on there, you should always at least palmer it back a little bit, pull these fibers so that you're not trapping any. And that'll add a little bit more pink flash to it as well. And you don't need to use chartreuse thread, because the popper will end up hiding that. We go ahead and trim that off. And then the next part we're going to add on is find a good piece of pink schlappen. And we're going to tie it in by the tip, because we're going to want some of that fluffy stuff maybe, if we get that far, or if we don't need it. And we'll trim that off. Kind of fold those fibers back while we're doing this. I don't think we can get any more. Trim that. And we'll add some more thread. Okay, I'm going to take a bodkin, and we're going to put a hole through that. Now I'm going to leave that bodkin in there. And we're going to put some gel super glue on top of there. And I'm not going to go back to where the feathers are, because I don't want to, maybe the popper will probably push some of that back there. And we'll just make sure it's all level, make sure my head is good as well. And then I'm going to put on some 6mm, and I should have mentioned this is a large double barrel. And we're going to put some Arctic eyes on it. And tilt this sideways, and I'm instead of using, because the eyes do have an adhesive, but I like to use a little super glue with it to start with. Just put a drop there. And these are kind of like frog eyes, so they're going to kind of go up and down like that. And you get your bodkin out and just use the back of that and force it in a little bit down there. Give it a little pressure. That way you're not gluing your fingers. And put some on this side. And get an eyeball. Again. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to add a little UV glue to cover that eye. That'll make it last a little bit longer. Take my UV light, then I'll flip it over and I'll put some on the other eye. And some more light on that one. And there we have it, a pink thing slider. Will it catch? I'm not sure, but we're going to find out at the end of this month for a particular species down there. And hopefully I'll get some videos, not just on how to fly tie it or whatever, but to maybe show it that it catches a fish on there. Now, we'll alright, here's the popper version. And this is what we tried to mimic in there. The pink thing. You know, these will probably catch bass or pike or pickerel, depending on the hook size you want to make it on. But hopefully you found these flies interesting. Hopefully I'll catch something on them in a couple weeks, and I can share those results with you. All right, Daryl signing out. Bye.
When they were active light, he should have left it. There you go. Your trout setting, but that's good. That's
when you set that hook, do like this. Snatch that rod like you're going to do a back cast.
Yeah.
Do this with your arm.
Like that.
Pull
like
this arm like you're going to strip, and then pull that rod back at the
Yeah.
same time.
Oh, same time?
Yeah.
Like a tarpon. So
Yeah.
you're going to snatch both arms back and apart. And so you're stretching that line, and you're going to sweat that rod out.
Yeah.
That's what we call a strip set. You know what I mean?
I was just trying to go back.
Yeah, but you gotta-
So you want to do this at the same time when you set the hook. Do that.
Strip and rise.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling you on the way down here in Florida.
Well, most of our saltwater fish, and then when you fight them, you're going to keep that rod kind of pointed towards them with just a bow in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now look, this fish is what, a pound or two? And I want you to feel that 50 right there.
Yeah, I see it.
That's 50 pound.
Okay. Now we'll get you holding them. There you go. They work.
I'm going to retie you.
Pick them up.
Yeah.
Treat them like you treat your bass when you're catching them.
Yep.